Living in Germany, I've realized there's a few things that make me nervous, tense, perhaps a little bit fearful. Not big things, just little things. Here's a few of them. First up, walking on slippery ice like I'm doing right now. I'm not equipped for this as an Aussie. Last year, I slipped twice. The first time I was pulling my son along on a sledge, I got carried away and I sprinted. And you know when your legs go out from beneath you and you feel yourself like horizontal in the air? I hit the ground so hard. It was one of those falls where the general public gathered round. Might have chipped a bone in my wrist. Didn't get it checked, which wasn't smart, but it healed. Then I was walking to a cafe, fell over again, phone flew out my hand. Wasn't good. This year, I haven't slipped once. Let's hope I don't slip while I'm making this video. Got a list here. What else makes me a little bit scared in Germany? German letters. Opening a German letter is an emotional roller coaster. When I open a German letter, I don't know if I've won the lottery or accidentally committed some kind of tax fraud. I used to enjoy opening letters. There's not much good that comes in a German mailbox, unfortunately. The thing is, I grew up in Australia, surrounded by dangerous animals. I pretty much talk about dangerous animals every week here. I once saw a spider that was so big, I had to hit it with a baseball bat. I think a shark nudged the bottom of my surfboard while I was surfing at uni. And I got chased by a water snake down a river while I was in a canoe. That's the thing. I experienced all that. And now that I live in Germany, I'm scared of the mailbox. What's that all about? The Finanzamt, speaking of tax letters, the Finanzamt is a scary place. I think tax officers are kind of scary around the world, but when you're trying to speak German with a tax question, my gosh, I went into the Finanzamt with a question and there was a big queue. Queues are big in Germany. And I got to the front and like my throat locked up and I couldn't even speak. It was a combination of the nerves and the complexity of the language. The woman's just looking at me, the queue's getting restless. So I just started sliding her documents. I just gave her one document after another to keep her busy until I could actually speak. I managed to ask the question that I needed and get out of there with the answer. So even though I was nervous, mission accomplished. What else we got here? Bit nervous about this bike coming towards me. Pretty game riding on the ice. Acting classes. A while ago now, there goes the bike. I've been here over 12 years, and when I first came, I started doing acting classes. It was something I'd been keen to pursue for a long time. Doing acting classes in German with other internationals was petrifying. And sometimes when I went to the class, I nearly turned around and went home. Couldn't even get in the room, but I knew if I sort of forced myself to physically walk through the door, once I was in, it was okay. It was actually a great way to meet an awesome bunch of people, learn this craft. But yeah, a lot of fear in that every week. What else we got? Dying? Okay. That's not a German thing. That's a universal thing. I think like many of us, I fear dying. Love life. My fiance the other week, she woke up in tears. Immediately, I thought, what have I done and what do I need to apologize for? She said she had a dream. And I was like, about what? And she said that I died in her dream. At least she wasn't clapping. I asked her how, and she said, from eating carrots. I kind of hoped for something a little more dramatic, like rescuing her from a burning building or something. Nah, just plain old carrots, which I am scared of now too. What else we got? The supermarket checkout. I've had many experience at the German supermarket checkout. There's an older lady on the checkout at the supermarket near me, and she's had it in for me ever since I overpacked a paper bag. She wasn't happy. So when they introduced the self-checkouts, I was pretty relieved. But I was trying to buy a zucchini, and I could feel her watching me like a hawk. I got so nervous I dropped the zucchini, and she came up to me a little bit nervous about this dog. Okay, there's 2 dogs. Yeah, she was watching me like a hawk. And she said very sternly in German, junger Mann. She could call me junger man anytime she likes. I'm in my 40s. I'm hoping we can find a harmonious way to exist, but the German supermarket checkout, it can be pretty tense. It's like, you have to put the little barrier down. There's all these it's almost like a microcosm for German society there. Now we got a plane flying over. Okay. I get pretty nervous about doing these sort of videos, actually, because they're just free form, and things happen. Anyway, what do we got next on the list? Employment. I don't know how I came up with this list. Okay, I do fear employment, particularly in Germany, because I've spent so long as an artist now and managing my own time and being a freelancer that the notion of going into an office again, I used to work in architecture, the notion of going into an office where I'm sort of managed and told, when I can go to the bathroom or whatever it may be, it just doesn't suit my character. I'm just not good when I'm managed like that. I'm great at collaborating, but when someone's in charge of me and they have less experience, in Australia, it's kind of worse because we have far less sick days. You pack up your desk at Christmas, you have a party, you say goodbye to your colleagues, and then like 3 days later, you're back at your desk. So yeah, I'm actually at the point now where I fear employment more than being broke, because I want to manage my own time and be flexible, have a little freedom. Got to be serious with that one. What else we got? Haircuts. Yeah, haircuts in Germany. Can't say I've had a good one. I have when I go to the local barber, but the first time I went to get a haircut in Germany, had no German, so I asked the hairdresser if he had any pictures. He disappeared out the back, and he came back with a children's magazine, a magazine of children's haircuts. That's the moment I should have run, and I didn't, and I paid the price. Another time, the hairdresser was like using that foot thing to pump me up, to make me higher in the seat. And as he was pumping the foot thing, he started chatting to someone else. And he kept pumping, and my legs got jammed under the table. So I walked out of there with a bad haircut and a limp. Soon after that, finally, I found I had a great haircut. This woman did a great job. I don't want to be too particular about my hair, but this woman, she did a great job. And at the end of it, we had a great chat. At the end of it, I was like, do you have a card so I can book you again? And she said, you know what? I'm moving to Australia. Of all the countries, it was almost incentive enough for me to go home. Since also during the pandemic, I basically resorted to cutting my own hair, which hasn't been pretty. You know, when you're a kid and your parents give you your first haircut, that's what I do to myself every month. It's lucky I've got a beanie on. You don't want to see the back. So yeah, haircuts. Okay, I can hear some commotion over there. I think I'll go this way. Okay, to bring it home, what do we got? That's about it, really. Speaking German. Speaking German, there's a lot of fear in speaking German. I've made a lot of blunders trying to speak German. I'll give you an example. When I first came here, I had a hangover, and a hangover in German is a Kater. So I went into a chemist and I said, Entschuldigung, excuse me, ich habe eine Katze, which is, I have a cat. So the chemists were like, can't really help you with animals. We're a chemist. There's been a lot of little moments like that. And I think the thing about speaking German is people appreciate it if you try. It's just about throwing down and not being so concerned if you get it wrong. I tend to want to do things right, and that can kind of hinder me a bit. It still scares me depending on the situation. I did tell a story at a German wedding in German, and it kind of landed, so I think that's progress. So yeah, there's a few things that make me nervous in Germany. Like I said, I'm now nervous about this video just disappearing into a internet vortex with 1 or 2 views. But I've enjoyed making it. I'm going to continue on my way and try not to fall on the ice.